All right, we're getting started here. Let's go. Let's talk about the real estate headlines. Let's talk about what's in the news because real estate and the news have a very interesting relationship. It's always extreme. Any headline you read out there is extreme, and I feel like it's really piling on right now. Um, it just kind of keeps getting worse. Maybe you guys have noticed that. uh as these headlines come out, they're supposed to just give you kind of the gist of the article, but right now, I mean, I feel like everything I see out there is they're out there to terrify you. And if we break it down a little bit, maybe they should just clarify for you. um for example, let's take a look at this one from Diana Olick. Diana Olick is a contributor on MSNBC. She's known to be super credible. Great reporter. I'm not bagging on her. But here's the headline on the tweet that she put out there. It says, homeowners have lost $1.5 trillion in equity since May as home prices drop. Right? And this is referencing a Black Knight study. Black Knight is a great resource. They have phenomenal information, mortgage information, price and equity information, very well-known organization. And what this article that is linked on this tweet basically says that since July, the median home price in this country has dropped about $11,560. Totally true. And this translates into 1.5 trillion in equity that's been lost since the middle of the year, technically since July. Now, let's just put this into perspective, because it's accurate. The headline is accurate. But if somebody, was to read this, it sort of pretends that this drop in pricing is leading to this cataclysmic event in housing, like 2008-ish. And this is simply not true. This is completely different. It's nothing like 2008. So let me go to the next slide here. And we can take a look at this, graphically and what that means. This drop in tappable equity to $10.3 trillion in the third quarter of this year. And let's break that down just for a minute. This tappable equity, if you remember, is, the amount of equity a homeowner can access before they hit 80% loan to value, or 80% the value of their home. So if you have a $100,000 home, your tappable equity gets you up to $80,000, right? So if you have a $50,000 mortgage, then you have about $30,000 of tappable equity. And okay, so we've had a drop into the third quarter of this year, but it's still $400 million above where we were this time last year. But here's what's even more important. If you look back at 2019, down over here, we were just over 6 trillion in tappable equity. And we shot up to a height that was over $11 trillion in the second quarter of this year. And now we're just over 10 trillion. So there's significant equity in homes across the country. And I don't think a tweet like that from Diana really gives the full picture of just how strong the equity is in this country. We talked about this for many months post-pandemic, that equity was the shining star in the real estate market. It was the main thing that was coming out of the last couple years. So if you continue on with this and just talk about equity and how it protects the market, First American, the economist at First American says, homeowners have very high levels of tappable home equity today, providing a cushion to withstand a potential price decline, but also preventing housing distress from turning into a foreclosure. The result will likely be more of a foreclosure trickle than a tsunami. Yep, that's pretty much what I'm saying. Now, in just a minute, I'm going to talk about household debt and mortgage debt as it relates to the headlines, but let's just sit here in agreement that there's no doubt there's strong equity in homeowners in homes benefited by homeowners, and it allows them to navigate this market. A lot of these people that are sitting on this pile of equity also have very low interest rates because we've had these artificially low interest rates from 2008 to 2022. There was quantitative easing going on, and it artificially kept our interest rates low. And did you know that 92% of the mortgages in this country right now, because of quantitative easing since 2008, are below 5%. 92% of the mortgages out there are below 5%. And you're going to see a lot of people say, we're going to hang in there. We're not going to move. And that's probably preventing a lot of inventory from coming on the market right now. And that's another aspect that's propping up prices. So you have people with really awesome equity positions, and you have people with really low interest rates that have no impetus to participate. It's a pretty strong market. So let's sort of transition this to debt, because that's where the conversation generally goes, and household debt. Household debt is certainly a topic as inflation is bearing down on us. Here's this CNBC article: household debt soars at the fastest pace in 15 years as credit card use surges. It's so ridiculous. So if you haven't seen a headline like that, expect to see them. Expect to see more of these. There's a rapid rise in people accessing credit cards, and maybe even to bridge the gap in their lifestyle right now because the inflation is super high. It's going up 8-9%. I think can't wait for the core CPI number to come out tomorrow. But let's put this into perspective, because that's what I like to do. Right? Okay, credit card debt is up. Fine. But if we go back and take a look at credit card balances are right now, this is coming from the same information. It's coming from the New York Fed. Credit card balances are right now where they were in 2019. This is a look at 2019, third quarter of this year. And there's a rapid rise. But what was going on here in 20 and 21? Stimulus money, nonstop. People didn't need their credit cards because we were being mailed money every week. It seems like we were getting money just sent to us in droves. And we saw balances in savings account, or we saw the balances in the savings accounts rise, and less credit card usage. So it makes a lot of sense. It's going to be on the rise because the stimulus stopped. Why don't we write a headline of like no more stimulus? Okay, inflation has been really hard on some households. It's been hard on our household. I mean, everything's more expensive: butter, milk, bread, everything. We got 4 kids. We got to feed a lot of mouths. But right now the credit card levels are at where they were in 2019. So, or maybe we're at an inflection point. I don't know, but this is the reality. Of course, they're on the rise. There's no more stimulus. And in this blog, let's go over here. The New York Fed, they're quoting the New York Fed. This is Liberty Street Economics. It's a blog. And they say, though delinquency rates, they're talking about credit card debt, credit card delinquency rates are rising. They remain low by historical standards, and suggest consumers are managing their finances through a period of increasing prices. So credit card debt's on the rise, very comparable to the range that was there pre-pandemic. So let's just try to keep that in mind, where things really are at in the moment right now. Okay. The other question that always comes up is mortgage debt. And where is that across the country? We know that we have strong equity, but mortgage debt, what's the health of the mortgage debt? And can people afford to pay their mortgages now? And how is this all going to play out? And I mentioned the FHFA stat that many people, 92% of the people have interest rates below 5%. They're very affordable. They've hedged against this inflation within their housing costs. But certainly rates have risen now. And, people are saying, hey, we're good. We're not going to move. We're going to enjoy these low mortgage rates. It's funny. People are now saying, I love my mortgage instead of I love my house. That's hysterical. Now, life events are going to happen. People are going to have to move, right? But we have to look at, what is affordable within the mortgage that's available today. And so this is a really interesting stat. This is where we're at today. And this is, I'm sorry, if we look at the income ratio of mortgages across the country, we sit at the point lower than we were all the way back in the 1980s. And this is household debt service ratio for mortgages as a percentage of disposable income. So you see this, you look across the country, the average where debt service ratio is well below where it was during the housing bubble. Let me tell you, that was fun. They were writing mortgages for anybody. And we're just in a much stronger position than what people want to latch onto, I think. So we have strong equity. We have a low household debt service ratio. We kind of understand what's going on with with the credit card debts. But there's still, where are we at with delinquencies on these mortgages? Mortgage Bankers Association has a great quote. For the second quarter in a row, the mortgage delinquency rate fell to its lowest level since the MBA's survey began in 1979, declining 3.45%. Foreclosure starts and loans in process of foreclosure also dropped in the third quarter to levels further below their historical averages. So not seeing this flood of delinquencies, which is a leading indicator of foreclosures. We're not seeing it. If you look year over year, foreclosures are up, okay, but they're near record lows. Take a look at where we're at right here, Q3. Again, this is the most recent data we have. I realize it's December. Data lags, part of the problem with the Fed adjusting interest rates, but that's another conversation. And if you keep this trend, will equal about 125,000 new foreclosures in the country this year. And to put that into perspective, it's going to be like half of 2019. And you take a look at 20 and 21, guess what was going on here? Foreclosure moratoriums. It was illegal to foreclose on somebody. These were probably ones that were just started back over here. Naturally, foreclosures are going to be up year over year because there's no more moratoriums. Some of these headlines are just, they crack me up. They want to terrify and they don't do anything to clarify. It's my favorite saying today. So, as the holiday gatherings come up, I hope this gives you ammo against the perma bear uncle who believes that you're going to be able to buy a house next year for $100,000. Probably not going to happen. Regardless, thanks for taking the time to watch me, listen to me, read a couple of my slides, uh, you know, coffee on me. If you have a question, though, you can put it down in the comments on whatever platform you're watching this on. I'll get back to you. I'll reach out to you. I'll shoot you an email, whatever we need to do. Thanks for watching, though.